and feels as if we, as a city, is starting to entertain the fact that South Africa is no longer belonging to South Africans. Madam Speaker, we are sitting in a chamber that is not safe for settlers under JPC. Why JPC is worried about newly built houses and allocation, I am of the view that as a disciplined coalition partner, it is equally our responsibility to ensure accountability and ensure the correct oversight is conducted. As a patriotic alliance, we note the report, but we also believe that the Department of Human Settlement should lead by the MMC of Human Settlement. Thank you, MMC Mabaso. You have our full support and we should not divert responsibilities. We will continue to monitor this process of southern farms and ensure our residents in this city are treated equally and fairly. The safety of South African citizens depends on effectively oversight and timely intervention. A better city is what our residents hoped for under the government of local unity. We remain supportive and disciplined in this cause. By the next, I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mokoena. From Good, Councillor Cook. Councillor Mokoena, please switch off your mic.
Thank you, Speaker. We note this report from last year's financials. However, the elderly are still standing, queuing, waiting for things. I am disappointed by what has been reported and by the lack of accountability from the officials. They continue to just pat themselves on the back and celebrate and cheer as if their 70% are worthwhile, while the poor and underprivileged and the elderly continue to suffer in our city. Our residents deserve more.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. From Action SA, Councillor Mohlala.
Ke go dumedishe wena seboledi sa rena se se botsana the executive mayor go ma councillor ka moka ka go fapafapana ga bona ke re thobela ke yone. As we note this report, let us remember how many people remain destitute and without dignity promised in our constitution under section 26. The importance of section 26 reminds us that our people have the right to access to adequate housing. Most of our residents are left hopeless as they've been waiting for years to receive housing opportunities. Madam Speaker, it is our duty to ensure that this right is fulfilled. In response to high demand of housing in our city, we are pleased that the department has delivered 3,222 mixed housing units in Lufereng, South Hills, Riverside, and Playhoff for this financial year. We applaud the department for making good strides through achievement of 701 sites and services. This is indeed a great milestone for the department and its beneficiaries who have been waiting in anticipation for provision of land to build their own houses. Madam Speaker, we sought to be comprehensive, addressing not only access to adequate shelter, but also social and economic demands of our residents, while creating inclusive, equitable, sustainable, and human settlement in our city. Speaker, we are worried about the ongoing delays in our occupancy of some of the inner city buildings that have been completed, which are disrupting the daily lives of our residents. Speaker, could the MMC please give us update on the Skosana building in Ward 61, GP's Town, and Nerabek building in Ward 123, New Dorenfontein? Because, okay, even though these buildings have been ready for occupancy, he has not yet indicated when he will allocate qualifying occupants to this unit. Therefore, they run a good risk of being
30 seconds remaining.
Okay, as As actioners say, we are equally worried about the slow pace in which the department is taking to pay invoices within the period of 30 days, because this negatively impacts on, amongst others, economic challenges that our country is facing, such as high unemployment rates, the health, the financial health of our suppliers, and the ability of suppliers to pay their salaries. Can I end off by saying, Madam Speaker, that we agree with the executive mayor about the
Councillor
retailing.
Msala, your time is up. Moving over to the DA, Councillor Chen.
Greetings, Madam Speaker, Executive Mayor, Leader of Executive Business, Chief Whip of Council, Chair of Chairs, MMCs, Leader of the Democratic Alliance, Joburg Caucus, Councillor Belinda Kaiser Izonjoko, all my fellow councillors and the House at large, protocol observed. Madam Speaker, I'm rising on item 2, Performance Assessment Report for Human Settlement Department for 2023-24 financial year for the period April to June 2024. The department focused the fourth quarter on finalizing and finishing off the projects that were already on the flow of completion. The department has delivered 3,222 mixed housing unit opportunities for the financial year. However, the number of informal settlement households provided with sanitation, the department missed this target by 547. Why was the department unable to meet this target? When was the department estimated it will be able to achieve this target that was missed by 547 informal settlements? What were the challenges that prevented the department from achieving this target? What measures has the department put in place so that so that going into the new financial year, challenges do not hinder the delivering of services to the residents of these informal settlements? Targets not achieved, number of buildings package plan for alternate housing, appointment of multidisciplinary professional consultants is scheduled for Q1 2024 and 2025. The consultant will prepare the inception report, submission of plans for the approval, submission of the plans at Department of Planning Development. Which criteria did the department use in choosing the appropriate consultants? How long will inception take to prepare? What provision have been made in 2024 budget to implement the findings from consultants? Madam Speaker, a huge concern why projects are being stopped. I know that the department was unable to achieve this target as evident. The invoices are not paid within 30 days of invoice date. The percentage of valid departmental invoices paid within 30 days of invoice date has dropped from 74.6% in Q3 to 64% in Q4. Madam Speaker, what will the department do to ensure that the target of invoices being paid within 30 days does not continue to decline? Residents need to know what will be done to stop the declining of paying invoices on time. Service delivery in the Human Informal Settlement Department has declined. This is since project managers are without full control of their projects as the result of the implementing agency continue to implement projects without the consulting project managers. This high rate of vacancy remains a challenge. How will the department mitigate service delivery challenges? The department and entities must work together for the project managers to be able to do their work appropriately. South Africa's tough economic conditions have made living in overcrowded informal settlements and urban apartments the only viable option for many struggling households. And despite the government making inroads in the provision of formal housing, these homes are permanent features of our country. The city of Johannesburg is failing its residents by keeping tenant farming to shacks. A map would illustrate the distribution of informal settlements across the 7 regions in the city of
20
Johannesburg.
seconds remaining.
I'll skip my others to the end. We need to promote the delivery of mixed-use settlements to cater for growing desire and need for area where people can live. Madam Speaker, Gauteng is known as a first-class world city. The name should be changed to first-class green slime city. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Action SA, Councillor Mataban.
Greeting, Speaker, Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, fellow councillors and residents of the City of Johannesburg. I rise to speak on item 23. As highlighted in the report, we acknowledge the work that Joshua has done to house people and to bring dignity to the working South Africans who contribute to the betterment of our beautiful city. Highlighted in the report, more units are built and more people are housed. It is indeed a win for the residents of the City of Johannesburg. We see a bit of improvement and an intention to house people. Speaker, we are however concerned about the rent collection. This remains one of the biggest weaknesses of Joshco, failing to collect the rent given how the city is limping financially. We urge Joshco to be intentional about rent collection. With this report, we see that Joshco is still struggling in empowering SMMEs. Instead, money is going to EPWP. Speaker, we are also concerned about how Joshco is struggling to maintain its buildings. As Action SA, we want to know what is happening with the Devon Road project. We want to know how much this entity is spending to improve their buildings. Lastly, we are concerned about the amount of money spent on legal cases with employees. The entity continues to lose these cases. Something must be wrong there. We're also concerned about the acting positions that are not filled permanently. We are running a city, not a film school. Joshco has the responsibility to serve people with diligence, and they have a big responsibility to collect the rent with no excuses. With those words, we are calling on councillors and residents of the City of Johannesburg to support Spaza for locals. South Africans can. We note the report.
Thank you, Councillor Matabane. DA, Councillor Brand.
Good afternoon, Speaker. I'd like to address you on item 23. Reviewing the quarterly reports of Joshka has become a repetitive exercise. Quarter after quarter is similar as stepping into a revolving door. As the door turns around, we see the different aspects of the report, and each quarter is surprisingly the same as the previous, with KPIs not having been met, poor rental collections, losses accumulating with Joshco unable to pay their way, and now management fees are being drastically decreased as a result of their poor performance in project management, as we've heard from other speakers today. A continuing picture of gloom and the absolute inability to right the course of failure. My picture of a revolving door is quite apt, as revolving doors at times are very difficult to push to get moving. And once you've gone through a full cycle and you step out, you're back in the same place you started, with the same conviction you had last time when Joshco presented the quarterly report, and that is Joshco is going nowhere and genuine improvement is not in sight. Over the last 8 years, by my reckoning, 9 CEOs, either appointed or acting positions. When you consider 2 of these CEOs' tenure was for 18 months or more, it tells you that the 7 left served for a very short time. And now, once again, we have an acting CEO in Joshco. During these 8 years, we've been presented with turnaround plans, turnaround strategies, rescue plans, implementation plans, cash flow plans, staffing plans, and plans. One question that has never been asked in devising these plans, and that is, why is the tenure of Joshco CEOs measured in only months? In fact, on average, under 9 months. It must be noted that the board of directors have endorsed these plans and then taken an idle view as things unfolded, and the things unfolding have always been failure. Sadly, my colleague who sits in front of me is called for wayward directors to be found delinquent in such circumstances is not seen in light and is simply ignored. The section question is none of these plans addresses is, are the board of directors unable to make the correct appointments in the CEO, or perhaps new CEOs do not have the support of the management of Joshco. My request for a report on Joshko's management skill and experience in the fields that they should be exercising within the company, the likes of rental management, project packaging, project management, financial management, sustainability, restructuring, etc., was met with much resistance. Talk was made of the Poppy Act. We would if we could, and comments of overreach. And let me say clearly, oversight is not overreach. For that comment that Joshko are making, I must ask through your office the simple question: how can you continue to fail dismally
30 seconds remaining.
month after month, year after year, and you do not expect stringent oversight? I can only respond to that with that lovely South African saying, well, sorry for you. The stringent oversight by the DA will continue. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Brand. ANC, Councillor Kumalo.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to you, Ngoza. Greetings to the Executive Mayor in his absentia. Greetings to the Chief Whip of Council, Councillor Zungu, Nyamagaishi, Ishano Bapepeze, Makoba Nwane. Greetings to the Chair of Chairs, Councillor Marema. Greetings to all the MMCs of the city of Johannesburg. Fellow councillors, greetings. Speaker, let me start here. It always looks impossible until it's done. Let me extend my gratitude to the Executive Mayor for the very progressive walkabout program that he did in inner city yesterday. Yes, indeed, we will achieve something big in inner city rejuvenation under his capable hands. It shows the love he has with the people of city of Johannesburg by walking from Ellis Park to Gandhi Square. Now he knows the bad and the good of the inner city. You can't lead them if you don't love them. Speaker, out of 21 KPIs, the Human Settlement department has achieved 18 of them, of which is 86%. Congratulations to the department. Speaker, as much as we all know that we have a backlog in housing, but the department has responded very well by making sure that they achieve 701 site services to assist the middle class people who find themselves wanting. This is not the end of the department. They can still achieve more under the leadership of MMC Mabaso. Speaker, allow me to say this. One of my colleagues has contradicted his party slogan. JPC packages the land parcel once a developer is appointed. They hand over to human settlement. It happened in Luferen. It happened in Riverside. Why mele batatazele when it's South Farms? Yekelani ukutatazela. Ngiyanibona. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Kumalo. MMC.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to yourself, the executive mayor, members of the mayoral committee, the whip of council, chair of chairs, the leaders of political parties, the leader of the official opposition, and all the colleagues in the chamber. Speaker, I have noted all the comments by the colleagues, but I will actually respond to the few. Not to say, Speaker, others are not important, but they are a work in progress. Because we are actually acknowledging the challenges that exist within the sector, the backlog that is there in terms of provision for housing and also the provision of services. But Speaker, I want to confirm or report to the House that I did have an engagement with corporate and shared around the vacancy that exists within the department, because it is imperative that the department do look into the vacancy so that we are able to fill all these critical positions in the department. So we are working towards that. And we have also acknowledged the budget cut as alluded by the councillor. But the reality is that the whole sector was affected by the budget cut from the national level, which then compelled the metros and the provinces also to cut so that we are aligned. Speaker, dealing with the backlog in the city of Johannesburg, I think all of us seated in this chamber, we will actually have an appreciation of the work that the municipality has done in trying to mitigate. It was in this very council where we approved the new development called Gauteng Central, which will bring 81,000 units in the city of Johannesburg. It was in this same council where we approved Central Park, which will bring 3,800 units in the city of Johannesburg. It was in this council where Southern Farmers also approved. Councillor Mkwena, I do want to confirm that Southern Farm has been handed over to the Department of Human Settlements. We have advertised for a CLO who will be doing a groundbreaking. So the project, the development will commence very soon. Councillor Mkwena, be rest assured. It is with the Department of Human Settlements now. Speaker, I do want to indicate that there is a challenge with the payment of invoices, and I think it is because of the cash flow challenges that we have. We have acknowledged that we will try and improve, but this KPI is also reliant on the group finance in the city. But we are engaging with group finance so that we are able to perform in this KPI. The rent collection within Joshco remains a concern, and I think it's a concern within the social housing institutions, and there are many contributing factors to that effect. We have acknowledged that. We are working towards resolving that. It's not something that will happen overnight, because there are challenges that exist within the sector itself. And one of that is a huge demand on ownership. People are affected by unemployment, and there's quite a lot of challenges that are there, which contributes to the low rental collections. The maintenance plan, I did give an instruction to the department, to the entity, that we need a 3-year maintenance plan as per the requirement by SHRA, so that the entity is actually working on that and will resolve that as soon as possible. We are finalizing the appointment of the CFO and the COO so that we are able to deal with this acting arrangement within the entity. So, Speaker, thank you very much. Those are the issues that I will respond to, but others, we have noted them as councillors have raised them. They are a work in progress, and we will make sure that we improve and respond on them by action and not by words inside council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MMC Mabaso. Member in charge, Councillor Mpolo Bosho.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Where's Councillor Cook? Former Councillor Cook. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the committee, I like the council to note item 22, 23, 24. The recommendation on item 22 is on page 22.2. 23 is on 23.10. I ask the councillor to note the report. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Member in Charge, as you have alluded. Can't see you today, caucus leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Am I permitted to speak? Thank you. So
The floor is yours.
so the point of order is just a concern I would like to raise. Madam Speaker,
I can't hear you. Please speak.
we are
into the
very
mouth.
concerned, Madam Speaker. We've been listening to the MMCs and Councillor Mabaso and the chairpersons, bringing reports. But what is concerning is both the issues that are raised by councillors in response to the reports being tabled. Both the accounting officer is not here and the executive mayor is not here. And, obviously they need to hear some of the concerns and all of us. So it's just a concern I would like to raise, obviously, and there's 3 or 4 MMCs that are here, but I'm just saying, please, it's important because some of these might be input that later on could be assistance, please, Madam Speaker. It's just a concern I'm raising. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Belinda. It's noted.
Madam Speaker.
Any?
Correction, Madam Speaker, to assist. We are 7 MMCs in here. We are not 4. We are not 3. We are 7. Stop. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Vasco.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kunene. Unfortunately, the COO has got to be here, or either his representative. It cannot be that they are not in council.
Yeah. Councillor Kadama, don't forget you have to speak through the speaker. But I can see guys, we've got a long agenda and you really don't want to go home. So we shall continue. The recommendations are on pages 2.2.2, 23.10, and 24.8. Are the items agreed to? Thank you, councillors.
Councillors, we are on item 25, and that is the performance assessment report for the Public Safety Department for 23-24 financial year for the period April to June 2024, read together with item 26, and that's an oversight report of the Section 79 Public Safety Committee on the 2023-24 fourth quarter performance report of the Department of Public Safety for the period April to June 2024.
Thank you, Secretary to Council. We'll start with the member in charge, Councillor Nonkumbi.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Well, let me quickly table the report of Section 79, performance assessment report for the Public Safety Department for the 2023-2024 financial year for the period of April to June 2024. Also, item 26, oversight report of the Section 79 Public Safety Committee on the same period of 2023-2024, on the same period, which is March to April. Speaker, revolutionary to you, Chair of Chairs, also the whip,
councillors of the city of Johannesburg, progressives or not. At the same time, not forgetting as well the chairpersons who are holding the executive for the legislative purposes, which is accountability. Speaker, let me start by saying and borrow a few words from one of the greatest chairpersons, Yasser Arafat, when he said, I quote, "We know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. This is my home land. No one can kick me out. Today, I came here bearing an olive branch in one hand, and in which I've got one hand. Very good. And the freedom fighter's gun in the other. Do not let the olive branch fall from my hand. Do not let the olive branch fall in my branch." I then close the quote. Speaker, I rise to table the oversight report of the Section 79 Public Safety and its performance assessment for the same Department of Public Safety for the period of January. I mean, from April to June. The Portfolio Committee on the Public Safety in the fourth quarter of 2023-2024 remain focused in making sure that the department deliver good services to the residents of the city of Johannesburg. Noting the challenges that face the department. However, there have been some improvements. Through an observation that has been made by the department, we have reported on 23 key performance indicators. Out of these 23 key performance indicators, 2 were underachieved under this quarter, meaning that 21 out of 23 were achieved. The KPIs that were not achieved were
30
percentage of
seconds
fire
remaining.
calls responded to within 15 minutes. I therefore, Madam Speaker, request this council to take and consider the recommendation by approving this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Member in Charge. Freedom Front Plus, Councillor Pelzer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. All protocol observed. I want to start with the good news that the department achieved 22 out of 23 KPIs, which is commendable. It looks good, it's lekker. It's a 96% achievement. But the one KPI that was underachieved is percentage fire calls responded to within 15 minutes. Lives and livelihoods are at stake. So we would like to see this KPI achieved as well. In a city with water problems, this should be of concern. In this Q4 report, you can see that the implementation of an integrated command and control platform is, and I quote, extremely behind schedule and will be deferred to the new financial year. How can this be extremely behind schedule without corrective measures? I just want to highlight this to Council. Madam Speaker, I want to commend the department on the digitalization and transformation of citation processes in jail. Hopefully this will speed up the collection of fines, and we know we need the money. The department is embarking on a continuous project to acquire and deploy CCTV cameras. Yet in the same report, we see the challenges that there is a high percentage of offline CCTV cameras. The percentage, 78% offline. Surely we need to protect the infrastructure once we put it in place. Otherwise, the exercise is futile. In closing, Madam Speaker, the sore thumb or the elephant in the room remains the tender on procurement of fire and rescue vehicles. And of course, the position of Chief of Police that remains vacant. The feedback we get is that it is a priority and it
20
is
seconds
receiving
remaining.
attention it deserves. But how high on the priority list can this position be if the position is still vacant 4 years down the line? 4 years without a Chief of Police. Thank you, Madam Speaker. We note this report.
Thank you, Councillor. Action SA, Councillor Mabelebele.
Greetings to the Speaker of Council, Margaret Nobushem Tembu, Margaret, MMC of Finance, Executive Mayor Sello, aka Maina in absentia, and all councillors in the House. Speaker, I rise to address item 25 and 26 for 2023-2024 financial year for the period April to June 2024. We often hear from narcissists that boast about how they govern better, but the reality is far different. They left money with debt of around 4.6 billion owed to Eskom. They failed dismally to address some of the most pressing issues facing other communities, such as inequality, poverty, racial injustice, and inclusive service delivery. We cannot ignore apartheid that left deep scars of racial inequality. And the Western Cape government is not doing enough to tackle the structural and historical disadvantages that left Black and colored communities, particularly in the Western Cape. Speaker, good governance, as we are often told about, cannot be measured solely by KPIs or statistics. But it must be demonstrated through real life experiences of all people, especially those who have had the reality of experiencing inequality and exclusion based on the color of their skin. The failure to address these critical issues undermine the essence of good governance, as we are always told. Speaker, it cannot be right that the people continue to die while we are told that the department has achieved 95%. Criminals have taken over Zanspruit, yet we have public safety. That they've got the sole responsibility of protecting our community in the city. We are not seeing the desired improvement, especially in terms of law enforcement. Johannesburg is slowly transforming into a big informal settlement in terms of law enforcement. This cannot be acceptable. Take, for example, Public Safety Department, which is continuously boasting about the 95% performance rate for 2023-2024 financial year for the period April to June 2024. having met 22 out of 23 key performance indicators. But the challenges our communities face remain significantly, particularly the issue of law enforcement, or rather bylaws. The failure to effectively enforce these bylaws had devastating consequences, such as the tragic loss of young lives due to the negligence of foreign-owned spaza shops. This is an unacceptable situation that we cannot ignore. In addition, we need to fast-track capacitating cities' security officers so that they can be utilized effectively. As a city, we should be embarrassed that we are allowing Amapara to control traffic during busy times. But then again, the issue is that we still don't have a permanent chief of police. This has to be resolved soonest. As Action SA, we believe that the informal sector, particularly spaza shop, should be reserved for South Africans. It is crucial that we empower local entrepreneurs, ensuring their business have a chance to thrive. Most importantly, the safety and well-being of residents must be prioritized above all. To member in charge, colleague, we need to do better when it comes to oversight. Under your leadership, we have not done any oversight. We can do better come 2025. Viva spaza shop for locals! Viva!
Councillor Mabelebele, DA, Councillor Maile.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, the people of Johannesburg, greetings and salutations. The safety of the 6 million residents of this great city, which is the largest of South Africa's 8 metropolitan municipalities, cannot be taken lightly. In fact, public safety should be the first priority for any government, because we know that nothing can be achieved in a county or city where citizens and residents are not and do not feel safe. Addressing the National Day of Safety and Security some 30 years ago on October 15, 1994, the founding father of our constitutional democracy, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, told us the following, and I quote, "Every community in our country has a fundamental right to be free from fear. Each and every South African has the right to feel secure in their home, to feel safe in the cities, in the towns and rural areas. People should not fear the night. They must be able to travel to work, to school, and other places without danger." Sadly, Madam Speaker, we have a government of local unity led by people who do not care about the safety and security of the people of Johannesburg. We know they do not care because they have allowed the Department of Public Safety to function without a full-time head of department for more than this. We know they do not care because they have allowed the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Service, the second largest police service in the country, South African Police Service, to operate without a full-time chief of police for almost 5 years since the departure of David Tem, in March of the year 2020. Madam Speaker, we know they do not care because they have allowed the Department of Public Safety to operate without 6 directors and 20 deputy directors whose vacant positions are funded. We know they do not care because they've allowed vagrants and the abusers of dependence producing substances to take over the road traffic management function at some of the city's major intersections. Madam Speaker, we know they do not care because there is little coordination and collaboration between the city and the South African Police Service, despite the fact that many policing precincts in the city, such as Hillbrow, Jeppe, Alexandra, Ivory Park, Diepsloot, and Eldorado Park, remain in the country's top 30 police stations reporting the most contact crimes like murder, rape, and assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm. We know they do not care, Madam Speaker, because they've allowed spaza shops to operate across our townships without regular inspections to ensure they are fully compliant with our city's bylaws and other laws of the Republic. A blatant abdication that has resulted in the tragic deaths of so many young children in Soweto and elsewhere in the city. We certainly know, Madam Speaker, that this government does not care because they are allowing many young people across the city, from Riverlea to South Hills, to perish in gang wars about drugs and criminality without the deployment of the JMPD in these areas to ensure continuous police visibility. We know this government does not care, Madam Speaker, because the member of the mayoral committee responsible for public safety, Councillor Mtsikwaku, who is the political head of the department, does not even see the need to stay in a scheduled ordinary meeting of council, the highest decision-making body in our city, where he should be held to account. Madam Speaker, the performance of the Public Safety Department cannot be what it should be for as long as this government does not see the department's operational stability as a priority. As the official opposition in the city, the DA urges the executive mayor to come a little closer to the Department of Public Safety. We know that South Africa will be assuming the G20 presidency on Sunday, December 1, 2024. We also know that the city of Johannesburg will be hosting the G20 summit in 2025. This means that all eyes of the world will be on the city, with many heads of state and government descending on Johannesburg for the summit. We owe it to the people of Johannesburg to make their safety a top priority. It is indeed possible for Johannesburg to take its rightful place amongst the safest cities in the world, such as Singapore or Amsterdam, or Tokyo, or Osaka, or Stockholm, or Toronto. All of this begins with a government that gets things done. Such a government can only be a DA government, which we are confident the people of Johannesburg will elect in the 2026 local government elections. I thank you.
Councillors. Thank you, Councillor. Moving on to the PA, Councillor David.
Greetings, Madam Speaker, Executive Mayor, Chief Whip of Council, PA Joburg 9 councillors, and the capable leadership of our caucus leader, MMC Kenny Kunene. Most importantly, our residents in the city of Johannesburg. Today I rise to speak on item 25 and item 26. However, Madam Speaker, I must first highlight the Democratic Alliance failure, despite their claims of seeing good governance. Their lack of physical engagement in assisting the wards they govern has left many communities and commitments unmet. The DA should cease seeking political through protests at the chambers. Rather, join hands with the community. true leadership demands joining forces with communities, working hand in hand with the communities, pushing up your sleeves and working the ground, not sitting in chambers and doing videos, sending it over to the communities. But let me not speak more
Councillor,
on
please
the
hold on.
incompetence.
Democratic Alliance, please give her the platform so that she can deliver it on a speech.
Let me not speak more on the incompetence of the Democratic Alliance. Today, I stand before you with a heavy heart, Madam Speaker, compelled to address a deeply troubling incident that took place in our community today, which is a DA government ward, Ward 69. During a peaceful protest organized by the residents since yesterday, they expressed the dire lack of not even having a drop of water, which is a basic need that has plagued our communities of Coronationville, Westbury, and surrounding areas for months. Our residents face unwarranted aggression today.
Councillor David, please hold on. Councillor Sipumba. Councillor Sifumba, who's one of your councillors, is on the floor, but you're still being disrupted.
I rise on Rule 72. Speaker, I'd like to call an order to the councillor. However, it is also directed to you. I think whenever councillors are appointed to council, please do ensure that proper induction is conducted, because that ward is not a DA government ward. It's a ward under the DLU in City of
I am going to allow for robust debates in this house. You also had an opportunity as a Democratic Alliance to share your views. Leave other councillors to also do the same.
I thank you so
Councillor
much, Madam
you can
Speaker.
continue.
It is so enlightening to see that the DA is book smart ground smart, but let me not go on there. Let me continue. During a peaceful protest organized by the
Councillor
residents to
David,
express.
Please hold on. Councillor Pitcow. On what point of order?
I would appreciate it if she stuck to the issue, not just.
It's
stood
a
and
platform.
insulted
It's a
people.
platform. She's allowed to engage in robust debate. Let her have her say. She's got time to have the platform so that she can share her views as a councillor also. She's got a right to do that. Democratic Alliance, allow other councillors to also have the same opportunity. I can see that today you are not putting the residents first. You are not.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Through you, let me continue.
You may
It is so
continue, Councillor
nice.
Davids.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. It's so funny that they can call out other political parties, but when the same stones get thrown at them, they can't catch it. But that is fine. We always deal with the book smart councillors. Let me continue. During a peaceful protest organized by the residents to express their dire lack of not even a drop of water, which is a basic need in the humans in the area of Coronationville, Westbury, and surrounding areas, which is in Ward 69, where we have a DA councillor. Our residents face unwarranted aggression today. Instead of safeguarding the community's rights to voice their needs, certain police officers resorted to bullying and physically attacking women in the protest, taking note of the 16 days of activism. This behavior is not only unacceptable, but also an override violation of the community's rights and trust. Our residents were simply exercising the fundamental right to demand solutions for the basic necessity of water. They did so peacefully and respectfully, expecting protection, not persecution, from those meant to ensure our safety. I was on the ground with our community today before I came to council, experiencing firsthand the injustices that mirror
10 seconds remaining.
Even if the DA took some of my time, it's fine. Just last week, a senior JMPD officer threatened the residents, saying that they will eat rubber bullets. And today, we had residents smacked by...
Councillor, unfortunately, your time is up.
Thank you. Munir Aizani, I'm glad that I could bring my point across. Salute.
Thank you, Councillor Davids.
When your own tells you and you forget to realize that.
Hey, DA today. Caldine, let's continue. UTM, Councillor Zikebe.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm at the verge of being distracted or disrupted by the DA as well. So should not hold your breath. I rise on behalf of the United Democratic Movement and minority governing parties to highlight the remarkable achievements the GLU has made and acknowledge the challenges that we face. Under this administration, we have prioritized safety, infrastructure, and community well-being. Just in the last quarter, the Public Safety Department achieved a remarkable 157% revenue increase in licensing, collecting over 25.7 million against a 10 million target. This reflects our commitment to better systems and service delivery. On the ground, we have intensified crime prevention operations, stopping over 92,000 vehicles and making 2,607 arrests. In El Dorado Park, our technical response unit dismantled a drug lab, seizing narcotics worth 700,000. This is not just about numbers, it's about restoring hope and safety to our communities. Our bylaw enforcement programs have addressed illegal structures, unsafe electrical connections, and land invasions. In areas like Diepsloot and Orange Farm, joint operations have brought order where chaos was once reigned. While progress is clear, challenges remain. The non-functional traffic lights caused by power outages are a hazard. Road maintenance is still lagging in some areas, and informal settlement fires continue to reclaim lives and property. We're making strides, but these issues are compounded by years of neglect. Honorable members, we must be about the state of this city when we inherited it. The DA during the tenure left Johannesburg in shambles. Key infrastructure projects were ignored and critical resources were diverted to showcase political victories rather than address systemic issues. Under the DA's watch, no proactive measures were taken to insulate critical infrastructure from load shedding. Their failure to invest in backup power solutions for traffic lights and water pumping stations left our residents in darkness and dry taps. As we saw during their tenure, today we are the ones who are resolving these crises. The DA claimed to care for the most vulnerable, yet informal settlements saw little, no improvement in basic services as they claim in Cape Town. Fires raged, illegal connections proliferated, and residents were left to fend for themselves. Our administration is now working to address these issues through better law enforcement and community education programs. Under the DA, crime prevention was more rhetoric than reality. Ward-based policing and community engagement were neglected, leaving residents in areas like Soweto, Alexandra, and the inner city vulnerable to rising crime. We have reinvigorated these efforts, ensuring that even with limited resources, our JMP officers are visible in response and are effective. We are not here to talk, we are here to deliver. While the DA failed this city, we are working tirelessly to restore its dignity and deliver the safety, security, and services that our residents deserve. With focus and commitment, we are building Johannesburg that we can all be proud of. Shalan Panzila Marcel.
Thank you, Councillor Zikebe. IFP, Councillor Nyembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Wena Velenyandini. Greeting to the Speaker, Executive Mayor, Chief Whip of Council, Chair of Chairs, IFP Caucus, Councillor Mabaso. The IFP noted the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nyembe. EFF, Councillor Zita.
Councillor Speaker, Ndanza ngokushoweta na Mayor wa City of Johannesburg, na ngushoweta Councillor Dudu Murel. Special greetings to the EFF caucus leader, Councillor Bethlehem Rasurute, EFF Chief Whip, Tabisa Mokhapi. Speaker, for the first time, I would like to agree with the 95 performance report that is in a report, because we can see it on the ground. We have seen the MMC of public safety doing operations every day. So we see him. He is actually doing his job. So, Speaker, as the EFF, we do note and approve this report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor. ANC, Councillor Ne.
Greetings, Madam Speaker, the Executive Mayor, MMCs, Chief Whip, Chair of Chairs, Chairmen of Committees, Councillors, fellow colleagues, guests in the gallery, and the residents of the city of Johannesburg. Madam Speaker, let me start by sending my condolences to all those parents and families who have lost those children, unfortunately, to such circumstances which could have been avoided. But I also want to send my condolences to the hundreds of thousands of parents who've lost their children in Palestine, Sudan, and throughout the world where our children should be looked after and not armed and killed, that are killed. So my deepest condolences to all of them. Madam Speaker, it's my first chance to really speak in council. And I want to thank you for keep on reminding us that we are here as representatives of the people of the city of Joburg, first and foremost. And I'd like to believe that first and foremost, we are here to do a duty to the people and the residents of the people of Joburg, not our political parties, not our religious, not our creeds and colors, but to the people of the city of Johannesburg. With that said, I'm not going to make political comments. I was amazed and actually a little bit amazed that certain of my fellow colleagues who serve on the portfolio committee chose to attack members of the mayoral committee and make it personal. It's amazed me that there's people that sit in this gallery that have been councillors for 15 or 20 years. That means 4 or 5 terms. What we currently face in the city of Johannesburg did not happen yesterday, did not happen since 2021. It's been a progression of a long period of time. So I then want to ask them, what have you all done? We can point fingers at the current mayoral committee, and I know they're trying their best. We've got some nice young people coming in, and I'm so pleased that this has happened, because I believe we need a new mindset in the city of Johannesburg. But it's unfair to just attack people due to the unstable political situation. We haven't had stability in the city of Johannesburg, and we all know that. Madam Speaker, the one issue, and the MNC for safety is not there, neither is our mayor, but I'm confident our mayoral committee, they are collective, they work as a collective, going to take this back. Ladies and gentlemen, my appeal to you is, let us get a chief of police in place. It cannot be that a city the size of the city of Johannesburg does not have a permanent chief of police for 5 years. We have to accept that we are at war with criminals in this country. That there's a wave of lawlessness that's running across this country and running across the city of Johannesburg. And for us to take on these criminals, if we are at war, no army goes to war without a general. So we need that general, and it cannot take us another 5 years. I know I've been told that there's a short list, and very soon we will have a chief announced. My appeal to the mayoral committee, let it not drag through the new year. Let it be in the first month or two that we have a chief of police in place, and that we can then start looking at some of the stuff that has been presented to us at the Section 79 committee, we can then start implementing. So that should be a number one priority, is getting the proper chief of police in place. And ladies and gentlemen, we need somebody decisive. The city of Johannesburg cannot have some softy who can come here and want to be chief. We need a strong man with strong integrity and someone who's got guts to take on the lawlessness that we are currently facing in the city. Madam Speaker, looking at the report, ward-based policing, I truly believe being involved in community safety and policing for a long, long time could be one of the answers to our problems in the city when it comes to safety. We've been dragging this issue of ward-based policing for too long, and the incoming chief, I hope, will implement this. If each ward is allocated a certain amount of officers, and that these officers will be to report at either councillors' offices and work within that ward on specific issues, we would look at definitely making a dent in the crime. The one thing JMPD needs to learn and understand that having these things of traffic, certain officers who only do traffic duty, having certain officers who only do crime prevention, others who just do visible policing does not work. A JMPD officer needs to understand the completeness of safety in the city of Johannesburg. So when you shouldn't get a situation where JMPD officers would drive past informal traders trading illegally on the corner and not stop and do anything, or drive past drug merchants or a corner known to be selling drugs and do nothing. All our officers should respond to the issue of crime. Madam Speaker, the synergy between our departments, something I believe from your office can be provided. We need synergy between our departments. We seem to lack this. I'm going to give you one example: illegal connections on City Power's poles. And when the technician goes out there to do a repair, he then tells the residents, no, it's a councillor's duty to get a risk control and JMPD to come into the disconnections. So this is what's thrown onto our shoulders. But there should be synergy between both JMPD and City Power and City Parks, where the trees are being used for illegal connections, to come forward and do this. So we need to enhance, going into the new year, synergy between our departments. I agree, synergy between the different organs of safety in the state lacks. We're there, but we got a lot to work for. And hopefully going forward, that we enhance that synergy between SAPS national, SAPS provincial, Gauteng wards, and the city of Johannesburg security, JMPD. Together we can win this war against the crime. Madam Speaker, I have to, the one thing that we seem to lack in JMPD and public safety is crime intelligence. So I'm hoping the MNC was here, but we need to look at setting up our own crime intelligence units in the city. I want to give you an example. It was information that came to us that we went through, and we had a major bust in Mayfair where we recovered 9 firearms, 7 of them automatic rifles from a foreign national in my ward. But this had come through not by luck, it's because of information that had filtered through. But JMPD needs to have its own unit that specifies, looks at crime, at gathering intelligence internally and externally. Madam Speaker, it's a suggestion, it's a solution I'm putting forward, and I hope the mayoral committee listens to this and takes it to their next Lokotla. Madam Speaker, I want to end on the issue of the spaza shops and the foreign immigration. And once again, we seem to be blaming each other and blaming this council. This didn't happen overnight, guys. What 58 is testament to what has happened. This happened 20 years ago. And sadly, when we went into the city fathers of the city, and we were told, you know, these people hosted us and they are brothers in Islam, and we need to host them, which I didn't have a problem with by myself being in exile. The problem was control and manage the situation. Migration is something throughout the world. It happens throughout the world. It cannot be stopped. It's how governments of the day manage migration. And it's something we have failed. We have totally failed. And now we are suddenly coming up, waking up after 12 or 13 deaths, that we catch a wake up and we suddenly say spaza shop must be regulated. Why was spaza shop never ever regulated from the beginning? And yes, you know, I've seen councillors going out there and making videos of how they're going to shops. By the way, I've been doing this a long time, for the last 2 years. But anyway, the point is, we should be doing this, but we should also look at what impacts this whole spaza shop thing. Now, I can tell you from my experience, there's foreign syndicates that actually run these spaza shops. There's foreign syndicates that hijack trucks, and a 72-foot trailer could disappear in 4 Mayfair, the goods from the trailer, within half an hour, you will have no trace of those goods because they go into those spaza shops. Crime intelligence knows about this. Unfortunately, not much has been done. This is why I'm advocating for us to have our own crime intelligence units. So, yes, we should maybe look at bylaws where we should completely ban spaza shops. At the same time, I want to say, we are saying spaza shops in the townships and in informal settlements should be run by our people, and I totally agree. I totally agree. But as councillors, as a departments in the city, let us empower our people to run these spaza
30
shops.
seconds remaining.
With that, I'm saying let us give power back to our people. Let the city, together with the councillors, make funds available so our people could open and run these spaza shops. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. MMC Kunene.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. In the voice of Commissar MMC Dr. Mqinitwa, I want to greet the leader of caucus of the EFF, Councillor Sepetela Rasudute. I want to greet the chief whip of the EFF, Habisa Mohapi. I want to greet the 29 battalions of the EFF seated in this council. That was in the voice of Dr. Twaku. Madam Speaker, let me appreciate Councillor Ne for acknowledging how young we are. We appreciate that. I want to start with the first councillor, Councillor Pelzer. I think it's appreciated that there is an acknowledgement of the 96% achievement on the KPIs. Councillor Ne raises the issue of CCTVs that are offline, about 68% or 78% of them. Madam Speaker, I know Dr. Twaku, MMC Twaku cares because we brought our teams together at transport, at JRA, and at public safety to find a solution to powering those CCTVs because there is nowhere where they get power. And now the teams are working around to see how can they power them through our traffic signals. So it is not because this is ignored. Dr. Twaku has been pursuing JRA to come on board. And 2 weeks ago, we put the teams together. So, Councillor Pelzer, that is being attended to. I know that Councillor MMC Twaku cares because the issue of the control center that is not operational, again, the timelines has been set by the teams that by the end of December, they would have finalized everything that needs to be done so that that operational center can be able to work. So I know that Dr. Twaku cares, and I know that the GLU cares, and I know that there's a synergy between the MMCs, because myself and Dr. Twaku have raided the hijacked buildings together because the synergy is there. I know that the GLU cares. I know that Dr. Twaku cares because when there were gang fights in El Rado Park, he deployed JMPT officers and led them in the forefront. And he deployed choppers to go and fly over El Rado Park so that they can identify where criminals are. I know that Dr. Twaku cares because he has led the JMPT officers to take them underground, chasing armed Samasamas under River Lee. I know that MMC Twaku cares. I know that the GLU cares because he does raids almost every day. When some of them are sleeping at night, he is in the inner city. He is in Hillbrow, working and making sure that this city is safe. Yes, there's a lot that needs to be done. But nobody must tell the citizens of Johannesburg that the government of local unity does not care. This government cares. And that is why, as the MMCs, we work together, we are united, we are like a crew. Nobody must come here and Twaku, MMC Twaku does not care. The chief does not care. I know that the issue of the acting of chief of police is going to be filled. The process has started. But I know that Dr. Twaku cares because he went to fetch Nkate Kembe, the former chief of police, and made him his strategic advisor as we speak. Because he was sitting in a meeting where we were finding solutions to public safety and traffic signal problem. So nobody must tell us that the MMC and the jail does not care. He would have said, Tembi belongs to Action SA, I'm not going to fetch him. But he recognized the expertise that he has, and he has brought him as his strategic advisor because he cares. As the government of local unity, we do not politicize service delivery. We do not politicize competency. Whoever is able to contribute to service delivery, we bring them on board. Madam Speaker, I am disappointed by Ntate Maila. I don't have a problem with my brother. He is singing for his supper. You saw how the white people were happy after he spoke. The white people were praising him. I'm sure he'll be receiving
30 seconds remaining
at the end of this weekend. Madam Speaker, please let us recognize and appreciate the work that the MMCs are doing. Let us not just come here to criticize. And in the voice of MMC Twaku, Dr. Twaku, the most educated, and this report be noted. Salute. Manje namhlanje. Manje namhlanje.
MMC, your time is up. Zita, hey, calm down. Thank you, MMC. Member in charge, Councillor Nonkumbi.
Speaker, when politics leave you, they doesn't say goodbye. It's either it's an age. You see, when you have reached 60 years, you've got what we call amnesia. You will come from the committee, and when you are here, you'll try by all means to mislead. You know, Mike Tyson wake up from nowhere, wanted to challenge a 27-year-old, and he was murdered. So I'm not surprised. By the sentiments that were echoed by the 60-year-old. One.
In charge, please hold on. Councillor Belinda.
Speaker, are we allowed to use the word murd in this house?
Can you repeat what you just said?
Point of order. Councillor Nkumbi just said he got murd. Is that what we're allowed to use in this house?
Councillor Belinda. Member in charge, please continue.
No, thank you.
Chairperson, councillors, let's calm down. Yes. Member in charge will continue. We've had this conversation. We're not going to repeat it today. Member in charge.
Speaker, the government of local unit is delivering. One, Councillor Solomon Ile mislead this house. We are coming from Section 79 2 weeks ago. About the 6 director positions have been advertised. And according to what you have stated here, he said they are not. We've got IAOC director that has been appointed last month. Currently, the process of the chief of police is finalized. We're just waiting. It's going to start here in January. But when it comes here, I'm not sure if it's an age, that age or politics have left him. Either one of the two. Lastly, despite that, I know, you see, he used to come and claim here, I'm the longest serving chairperson here. So he's still crying because he was beaten by a young man. So you will keep me grandstand politically. With that being said, I am requesting, including himself, to note this report. Thank you.
Thank you, member in charge. Councillors, the recommendations are on pages 25.18 and 26.4. Are the items agreed to? Yes. Thank you, councillors.
Councillors, we are on item 27, and that's your performance assessment report for the Transport Department for the 2023-24 financial year for the period April to June 2024, read together with item 28, and that's the performance assessment report for Johannesburg Road Agency for the 2023-24 financial year for the period April to June 2024, also read with item 29, which is the performance assessment report for Johannesburg Metropolitan Bus Services for the 2023-24 financial year for the period April to June 2024. Also read with item 30, which is a performance assessment report for the Metropolitan Trading Company for the 2023-24 financial year for the period April to June 2024. And lastly, those items are read together with item 31, which is an oversight report of the Transport Section 79 Committee on the fourth quarterly performance assessment report of the Transport Department, Metrobus, Johannesburg Road Agency, and Metropolitan Trading Company for the period April to June 2024.
Thank you, Secretary to Council. We'll start with the member in charge, Councillor Ndlela.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, esteemed members of the Council, and distinguished guests. I extend my warmest greetings to all as we gather here today in the spirit of service delivery. Madam Speaker, it is both a privilege and responsibility to address this esteemed Council as I table the fourth quarter oversight report, performance report for Transport Department. The helm of our mobility continues to work tirelessly to ensure safe affordability and reliable transportation for all. Metrobus, which remains a cornerstone of our public transit network, connecting communities across the city of Johannesburg with resilience and dedication. A Metropolitan Trading Company, which plays a pivotal role in fostering technological advancement and operational efficiency, enhancing the lives of our residents. And the Johannesburg Road Agency, which remains steadfast in its commitment, maintaining and improving our road network, which serves as the backbone of our city's economy. This report, Madam Speaker, highlights the progress made, the challenges encountered, and the steps being taken to address these challenges. It is a reflection of our collective commitment to delivering a world-class public transport system and maintaining a critical infrastructure that keeps our city moving. Madam Speaker, this report is not a mere record of performance, but it is an opportunity to reflect on our achievement, recognize areas for improvement, and recommit ourselves to serving the people of Johannesburg with excellence. Madam Speaker, I stand before you to table item number 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ndlela. Freedom Front Plus, Councillor Paul.
Good afternoon again, Madam Speaker. Before I start, I just want to mention that I'm not sitting on this committee, so I'm speaking on this item as an outsider. But I think it's good to see a perspective from the outside on the functioning of certain departments. Through you, Madam Speaker, I 100% agree with the previous speaker, Councillor, about his approach that the mess that we find ourselves in today did not come from the past year, the past 5 year, or the past years. And to blame each other is not going to solve any problems. We have to find solutions ourselves. And I think this is clearly stated in this report on item 28, the quarterly report of JRA. It is amazing to know that in the 2016-2017 financial year, the capex budget of this department was 1.4 billion. One cannot imagine this because even Johannesburg Water doesn't get 1.4 billion anymore. But this 1.4 billion has reduced 7 years later to a mere 730 million. And this is in actual terms, not even inflation adjusted. So it dropped by 50%. So no wonder at least 50% of all the robots in the inner city, in Region B, Region A, Region C are not working. Something we did wrong since 2017, and it is time to do not business as normal. But what I want to talk about, Madam Speaker, and this is very interesting, the salary cost of this department is 64% of OPEX, and that is understandable because it's manual work, maintaining streets, cleaning roads, cutting pavement, and so on and so on. But what is interesting to know is that 145 people out of a total workforce of 2,523 members, they earn 52% of the total salary budget. So 5.75% of the staff members earn 52% of the salary bills. And now those staff members are only executive management, senior management, and mid-management. And this is very wrong. It cannot be in an organization where most of the work is done by cleaning our roads. So 94% of our staff members, 2,378, they earn only 47% of the salary cost. It cannot be. If this top management is cut in half, we can appoint another 1,200 to clean our roads, to open blocked stormwater inlets, to remove the grass from the tar roads, to clean our city. There's so much work to be done. We need to look into this situation. It cannot be that 5% of the staff members earn 52% of the salary. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Bull. DA, Councillor Christian.
Thank you, Speaker. It's Councillor Crichton. Good afternoon, Madam Speaker. All protocol observed. I rise to speak on item 27, which outlines the Transport Department's performance for the past quarter. The Democratic Alliance, as the official opposition in this council, cannot ignore the glaring failures of this ANC, EFF, Action SA, PA coalition government, and we must call them to account. One of the most critical failures is the Rea Vaya Phase 1CA Selby Depot. The contractor's cash flow challenges have derailed the delivery schedule, resulting in the Rea Vaya missing its targets by a shocking 15,483. The procurement of 68 buses for this phase, which the department audaciously considers a highlight, is overshadowed by the fact that the rebranding process has not begun. Speaker, the Rea Vaya system is in shambles, mismanaged, underdelivered, and failing the residents of Johannesburg. This is not a highlight, it is a monumental embarrassment. The failures of the Transport Department extend far beyond Rea Vaya. The integrated corridor management strategy is incomplete. Data collection for the citywide parking management policy is incomplete. The complete street project for Chawela is incomplete. The Orange Farm public transport facility is incomplete. Every single one of these projects represents a broken promise to the residents of this city. This coalition has shown that it cannot deliver on its commitments, no matter how critical they are to improving Johannesburg's transport infrastructure. Speaker, it is deeply concerning that MMC Kunene has demonstrated outright contempt for this council and its oversight processes. He failed to attend the last Section 79 committee meeting without offering an apology. His absence from these critical meetings has become the norm rather than exception. This is not leadership, it is dereliction of duty. Is the MMC avoiding accountability for the performance under his watch, or is he incapable of steering this department? Either way, the residents of Johannesburg are paying the price for the coalition's ineptitude. Speaker, the ANC EFF Action SA coalition has proven time and again that it is unfit to govern Johannesburg. The Transport Department's failures are not isolated. They are a reflection of a broader collapse in governments across the city. Under the coalition, service delivery has come to a grinding halt, leaving residents frustrated, angry, and abandoned. Speaker, the DA has a proven track record of good governance where we govern. Unlike the coalition, we deliver results. We demand the following actions. One, that the MMC must table a full report on how contractors are vetted and monitored and explain how cash flow issues were allowed to derail at the Selby Depot project. Two, the department must present a detailed timeline for completing the integrated corridor management strategy, the Orange Farm public transport facility, and other stalled projects. Three, MMC Kunene must prioritize attendance at Section 79 transport.
20 seconds remaining.
And answer for the department's failures. If he cannot, he should step aside for someone who can. Speaker, the residents of Johannesburg deserve better than this failing coalition. The DA will continue to stand firm in holding the government accountable and fighting for effective, transparent, and efficient delivery of services. The DA notes this report with utter disappointment and demands urgent corrective action. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crichton. ACDP, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I greet you all in the precious name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Greetings, Madam Speaker, Executive Mayor in absentia, MMCs, councillors, distinguished guests and residents of Johannesburg. Madam Speaker, I rise on item 27, the performance assessment report for the Transport Department for the fourth quarter. Madam Speaker, the ACDP shares the frustration of the Transport Department when it states that due to budget cuts and insufficient funding, that projects cannot be completed and worked on. And the ACDP compliments the Department of Transport, how it has used the funds on the CAPEX expenditure, which is at 94.49% for the financial year. However, the ACDP is concerned that the other areas, the budget that has been allocated to it, it has not been completely spent. And when the department receives funding but has not received additional funding, the money that it originally has received must then be utilized to the full. The goal of the Department of Transport must then be to at least use what it has to the full benefit of the residents of Johannesburg. The ACDP notes this report. God bless South Africa. God bless the sovereign state of Israel. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. IFP, Councillor Kanyile.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Ngibulise Somlomo. Ngibulise usodolopha in absentia, ngibulise oza kwethu ama-councillor, our caucus leader, Councillor Mabasa on his absentia. Speaker, I'm not going to say much, but I will just to indicate that the GTI rank, we can be happy if it's going to be open. Remember, we spend a lot of millions building that rank, of which that now we're hoping that the department is working on it so soon that it's going to be open. Rather than that, this Nyawupe can take that advantage I think that on the metro, the 68 buses that were acquired will help us a lot to address the issues of the transport that we're experiencing with the city. Also with the GRA speaker. Yes, we do have challenges with the GRA, but there are performances that we've seen. But we are thinking that speaker, working with the legal resources that we have on the GRA will also assisting us rather than to depend to those appointment contractors that sometimes that now they need a serious monitoring. Those are helping us on the ward. Having said that, Speaker, as an IFP, we note a report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Kanyile. Action SA, Councillor Liebenberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. All protocols observed. I rise to speak on items 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31, the oversight and performance reports of the Transport Section 79 Committee. For the fourth quarter performance of the Transport Department, which is April to June. I would like to outline some of the key problems that we have identified. With regards to NTC, they continue to struggle with an unresolved shareholder loan, which hampers solvency and places strain on the organization due to significant interest payments. Budget shortfalls persist, limiting the organization's ability to execute critical initiatives. We've got an aging infrastructure, and it's outdated and very old, and it's failing us as a city at this point in time. It's also failing the residents who is reliant on these. Critical risk mitigation activities are very incomplete, largely due to budget constraints. Cybersecurity threats remain inadequately addressed, posing a significant risk to system integrity. The incidents of vandalism and theft disrupt service continuity and increases maintenance costs. Delays in key projects, including the enhanced business model and infrastructure upgrades, undermines progress. Debt collection remains inefficient, further exacerbating financial strain. These issues, if left unresolved, threaten to hinder the organization's ability to meet its strategic goals. There's other areas of concerns as well. The Metropolitan Trading Company officially reports to the MNC of Economic Development, but is currently operating under the Transport Department. This misalignment raises significant concerns about governance and operational efficiency. It is imperative for councillors to review this arrangement and determine an appropriate course of action to ensure alignment with its designated reporting line. The current structure hampers the effectiveness of the Transport Committee, placing it at a disadvantage in fulfilling its oversight responsibilities. Action SA notes this report with concerns raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. DA, Councillor Mayers.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. All protocol observed. Honourable Speaker, you know, if we look at this report from Johannesburg Road Agency, it's actually a disaster. You know, and in fact, every council here has probably seen the dysfunctionality of all the traffic lights across the city, from Region A to Region G. In fact, what used to be 10 minutes for a commuter now can turn into a 30-minute ordeal. And if it's an hour drive, you're looking at about 2 hours. It's really, really disheartening to see the state of our robots and our infrastructure in the city of Johannesburg. And even across in the inner city, just about every single traffic light is out of order. It's actually very, very worrying, Madam Speaker. Speaker, with this said, these outages are not just an inconvenience, they're also life-threatening. Accidents happen. The increase of risk takes place. What happens if a child who is needing an emergency treatment needs to be taken away in a vehicle or an ambulance and is involved in an accident because a traffic light is not working? This is the thing that residents are experiencing across the city of Johannesburg. It's unacceptable, completely unacceptable. And I can point out to the countless intersections that are in disrepair. Winnie Mandela Drive, most of the roads don't work. Cedar Road, 4 ways. South Rand Road, South Hills, Rivonia Road, Malabongwe and Balez Drive, Remapan Road, Swartkoppies and Klipperfier Road. That's just to name a few. And here's the thing. While some of these roads or these robots are actually provincial, commuters don't care. They don't know the difference between what is a provincial traffic light or a city of Joburg traffic light. It's fixed. The quarterly report claims that 86% of traffic light repairs within 24 hours of faults being logged. 77 out of 95 faults addressed. It can't be. There are more robots that are not working than what the report says. This cannot be accurate. A simple visit to the CBD alone, like I said, shows most intersections are dysfunctional. This suggests that residents have given up reporting or that the report speaks to selective areas. We are calling on JRA to take a more proactive maintenance approach with quarterly updates of traffic light functionality presented to the committee, including a clear distinction between what's municipal and provincial. Further, vandalism, theft, and issues of power cannot be excused for non-delivery of service. We need actionable solutions such as partnerships with the private sector to secure traffic infrastructure. Bearing in mind, government cannot negate its responsibility onto the private sector entirely. Speaker, let me turn to Lillian Ngoy Street. This 200 million rand project is almost the same cost as the M2 highway rehabilitation project back in 2019, which closed on March 2019, opened on November 2019. It was done on budget and on time. And we had to build an entire piece of the highway. And the same amount of money has been budgeted for this. And 1 year later, from July 19th, there's very little to show for it. And now the timelines have been pushed further and further out. So, Madam Speaker, we are going to call on the MMC and JRA to please submit the minutes of the decision where Step Up Engineering, the contractor that was appointed, the contractor was terminated, yet the city is entering into a settlement agreement with the contractor. What is it? Is it a termination where they get off site, or is it a settlement? It's a big concern for us. Also, we want to see heads roll. We demand transparency on the remaining project budget and the new timelines, and that it won't go over the existing budget that's for.
30 seconds
This
remaining.
week of CADA deployment, as the Honorable Jack Bloom put it out, CADA is abbreviation. It means comrades appointed to divert resources elsewhere. And that's exactly what's going on here. Speaker, the residents deserve infrastructure, not endless excuses. As council, we must treat the root of the problem, not just the symptoms. We note this report with deep misgivings and insist immediate action to restore the residents, to bring trust back into this administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mayers. EFF, Councillor Koman.
Greetings, Speaker of Council, and thank you for the opportunity to address this assembly. I would like to extend my special greetings to the battalions of the Red Brigade, led by Capable Spetlele, Route, caucus leader, and our caucus whip, Tabisa Mohapi. I also wish to acknowledge all councillors and the residents of the city who are following this proceeding on various platforms. Speaker, I would like to commend the largest leftist and revolutionary movement for their unwavering efforts to ensure that the voices of the citizens are heard and represented. They tirelessly work to hold accountable those who attempt to misappropriate resources for their own benefit. Their dedication in ensuring transparent, accountable, and corrupt-free government is prevalent. This cause is truly commendable. Madam Speaker, I rise on item 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. As the EFF, we note these reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Komane. ANC, Councillor Mtlari. Councillor Komane, please switch off your mic.
No, thanks, Speaker. It's Councillor Market, not Councillor Mtlari. Greetings, Speaker. Speaker, as you were going through the list of councillors who were celebrating birthdays, I thought maybe you were going to acknowledge the president of the ANC as he was celebrating his birthday on the 17th. Yeah, executive in his absentia, chief whip of council, MMCs, chair of chairs, chairpersons of portfolios, progressive councillors of the oldest liberation movement in the entire continent, and other councillors. Speaker, before I note the report, I have a message from residents of Kyalami, residents of Santin, residents of Northgate. Apparently, they've been talking to councillors of the DA to tell this message to the mayor, but it seems like they don't want to do that. I met with them in passing, Speaker, and they said to me, I must tell Mayor. They are now calling him Mayor Wastrata. They are saying Mayor is one of the best mayor ever. And again, Speaker, they are saying he makes things happen instead of waiting for things to happen to him. That's what they told me, Speaker. Barry he's actually doing what mayor of DA failed to do. That's what they told me. It's not me, Speaker. They even indicated that they are happy the way he operates because of he doesn't look one-sided of Johannesburg, but the entire Johannesburg. So they said by 2026 they will turn things around. No, that's what they told me to tell you, Speaker. As the ANC, we know the report. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Hey, Councillor Maki, thank you. MMC Kunene.
Let me greet you, the most beautiful Madam Speaker. Let me greet the President of the Bureaucratic Party, the City Manager, Floyd Brink. Let me greet the Mayor in absentia, MMCs that are here with me. Let me greet the Chief Whip of the Patriotic Alliance, the fastest growing political party in South Africa. Let me greet all the patriots who are committed to putting South Africans first, councillors of the PA. Madam Speaker, I was called Papa Action many times by councillors from the DA because of the work that we have been doing as JRA in the awards. As I said when I arrived in this council, we must never politicize service delivery because we don't serve what councillors, we serve ratepayers. Madam Speaker, Councillor Boer, Councillor Mayers talk about the traffic signals. We've got 2020 traffic signals in the city of Johannesburg. 1,896 are working, 194 are vandalized, which means they are not there or they are on the ground. We need about 70 million to fix those 194. That is due to vandalization. But the 1,896 can be fixed within a short space of time. We have decreased the thickness of the cables and make them thinner so that they are useless when criminals steal copper and sell it to the scrapyards. We are looking at alternative energy to power our traffic signals. During load shedding, Madam Speaker, I started a partnership with private companies, including banks. We plugged onto their backup generators especially at strategic points close to their offices. That worked wonders. Speaker, we have been approached by different companies that want to finance and fund our traffic signals, but they want to advertise on our traffic signals. Looking at the bylaws, how do we do that? So the work on making sure that the traffic signals in Johannesburg work 100% is undergoing, and we are doing those public-private partnerships. Madam Speaker, in 2022, I hear Councillor Mayers is talking about provincial traffic signals. In 2022, the DA-led government cancelled an MOU with province, where province had given the city of Johannesburg the right to fix their traffic signals because our turnaround time is very quick. But the DA-led government cancelled that MOU. And that is why today you find traffic signals that belong to province not being fixed over a period of time. However, Madam Speaker, we met with the MEC of Transport in the province. We brought our teams together and we are resuscitating that MOU. And as a follow-up to that political meeting, the city manager and the JRA CEO met with the province on Monday, this previous Monday, Madam Speaker, where they are now finalizing the terms of reference to bring back that MOU so that we can also service the traffic signals of the province. So the DA created a problem. They must not come here and complain like small children. Madam Speaker, Councillor Liebenberg, you know, they say lack of information is too dangerous. Councillor Liebenberg, come here over gossip when they are drinking the cheapest coffee loaf in their corners, where they are sitting on wooden chairs, gossiping about the GLU. And she comes and talk lies and gossip in this place, in council. MTC is run by the Department of Transport and not the ANC. We are not confused in this coalition. Government of local unity is clear on responsibilities and synergies. Madam Speaker, she talks about, Councillor Lippenbeck, talks about a loan. That is well known, that there is a loan to MTC on the EPM. The process is at an advanced stage and it is being finalized so that the network can be resuscitated and then the city can begin to generate revenue. Awuthingibonge ubaba ukhanyile ngokukhuluma ngale ndaba ye-GT. Madam Speaker,
30 seconds remaining, MMC.
when I was appointed, GT was standing there as a white elephant for 13 years. In less than a year, Madam Speaker, an advert has gone out that seeks to get a facility management company that will start to run GT by end of February latest. So, Madam Speaker, we have responded. When I took over, Madam Speaker, AFC could not be appointed for over 7 years, Madam Speaker, including the time of the TA.
MMC,
As we
your
speak,
time is up.
As we speak, Madam Speaker, a service provider has been appointed and we went cashless on mid.
It's cut. Thank you. Thank you, MMC. Member in charge, Councillor Ndlela.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the committee, I will request the council to note the reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ndlela. The recommendations are on pages 27.2, 28.10, 29.5, 30.4, and 31.23 to 31.24. Are the items agreed to? Thank you, councillors.
Councillors, we proceed with item 32, which is the performance assessment report for the Office of the Manager for the 2023-24 financial year for the period April to June 24. And also read together with item 33, which is an oversight report of the Governance 79 Committee on the fourth quarter performance assessment report of the Office of the Chief Operations Officer, Office of the City Manager, Group Strategy Policy Coordination and Relations, Group Governance, Citizens Relations and Urban Management, and Group Communication and Marketing, Group Legal and Contracts, Group Risk and Assurance Services, and June 2024.
Thank you, Secretary to Council. Member in charge, Councillor Makwenchu.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to greet the Executive Mayor, the Chief Whip, Chair of Chairs, all chairpersons of Sections of Land Committees, all leaders of political parties, fellow councillors. I rise on behalf of Section 79 Oversight Committee on Governance to table item number 32 and also item number 33. Which is the fourth quarter report for the period of April to June 2024, the oversight report for Section 79 Committee on Governance for the departments reporting directly to the City Manager, that is the Office of the Chief Operating Officer, Group Strategy, Policy Coordination and Relations, Group Governance, Citizen Relations and Urban Management, Group Communications and Marketing, Group Legal and Contracts, Group Risk and Assurance Services, and Group Forensic and Investigation Services for consideration by Council. Madam Speaker, noting the observation cited in the Oversight Report, the Section 79 Oversight Committee recommends that the Council approves the fourth quarter report on performance for the departments reporting directly to the City Manager. I therefore ask Council to consider this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Member in charge, Councillor Makwenchu. Action SA, Councillor Ngwejeni.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings to you, greetings to yourself, greetings to the Executive Mayor in absentia. I rise to speak on item 32 and 33. These are fourth quarter reports. Action SA notes the reports with several concerns that must be highlighted. So we acknowledge the 88% collective performance on KPIs by the group functions, but we are deeply appalled and disappointed that in this day and age, some entities continue to submit supporting evidence for reported performance late. This not only undermines the credibility of the reports, but negatively affects the substantive assessment of these performances. We have yet to see the substantial improvements in service delivery, particularly in terms of the resolution and responsiveness through the interventions established by CRAM. If it is true that the accelerated service delivery meetings facilitated by CRAM are starting to yield results, we need to see more concrete outcomes. Specifically, we expect to see an end to illegal dumping sites in our communities such as Soweto, Alexandra, Diepsloot, and Orange Farm. We also demand stronger enforcement of bylaws, especially in the CBD. That is the case in point, where there is a complete disregard for compliance. It is crucial that we hold accountable those responsible for these failures. At the same time, we must acknowledge and encourage, apologies about that. Okay, at the same time, we must acknowledge and encourage good work when we see it. Singabi ile genge ehlala igxeka yonke into noba sekulo into eziyenziwayo ezinhle masincome. I have personally witnessed the public lighting program by City Power and would like to commend it. This program should be expedited and expanded to all corners of the city of Johannesburg. Particularly with the festive season approaching, it will play a significant role in reducing crime rates and enhancing safety in our communities. We are also concerned about the lack of participation by some city-owned entities in regional service delivery operations and critical meetings. This undermines the joint efforts to resolve service delivery issues and improve effectiveness. It is vital that these entities cooperate to ensure effective service delivery. The city recently rolled out community-based plan meetings through GSPCR, where, for instance, we heard from residents of Protein Glen. They are frustrated and disappointed that their submissions and proposals dating back to 2014 have yet to be addressed. Instead, they've been repeatedly being told about budget constraints. Their concerns about flooding and stormwater damage during the rainy season remains unresolved. These residents deserve action, not excuses. Another issue of concern is the high vacancy rate in group legal and contracts, which impedes the effectiveness of its work. While we welcome interventions from the City Manager's Office to advertise critical vacancies, including the appointment of Director of Municipal Courts and Prosecutions, we urge fast-tracking of appointments for positions such as Director of Management Support and Deputy Director of Litigation. We're also dissatisfied with the consequence management meted out to senior officials in the Red Fleet saga. As much as we have called on JRA to recover some of the funds from the terminated Bree Street contractor, we implore the city to recover some of the money paid for services that were never rendered during the acquisition of the Red Fleet. And hopefully the cost-benefit analysis of this exercise is in favor of the city. The issue of displaced employees is another pressing concern. While we acknowledge the complexity of this task, we must address it. It is concerning that the city is spending 110 million annually to pay 180 ghost workers. Granted that some are placed in holding positions, this remains an unacceptable financial burden. We hope that the institutional review process
remaining.
We hope that the institutional review process as presented by the ED will yield results and restore the city to its former glory. In closing, it will be inappropriate for us as Action SA not to make a humble plea to the executive mayor in absentia to take a leaf out of Tswane's mayor's book and please pronounce decisively on the carnage taking place in our townships due to foreign-owned spaza shops across the city and declare 100% local ownership of the spaza shops. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ngocheni. It's 4. IFP, Councillor Makuba.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to start by greeting the Executive Mayor, members of the Mayoral Committee, members, chairpersons of the Section 79 Committee, our leader, Councillor MMC Mabaso, and all parties that are in this council today. The performance by the units reporting to the Office of the City Manager, we noted that it is at 88%. We note challenges experienced by the unit, and some of them are as follows: delays in the approval of the employment equity targets, secondments of officials without appointing acting personnel, unsigned quarterly performance reports by departments and entities submitting performance reports late or non-submission at all. At the end of August, of the August quarter, various units under the Office of the City Manager faced significant challenges that impacted their performance and service delivery. It is stated that this is primarily due to capacity issues and other operational hurdles. We emphasize the need for improved capacity building and more efficient operational processes. We hope to see an improvement in this current financial year. The IFP notes the report. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Makuba, DA, Councillor Hooper.
Good day, Speaker. All protocol observed. I rise to speak on item 32, the fourth quarter performance report for the City Manager's Office. Speaker, we note the reports, some of the progress and expected process successes, but many functions under the City Manager's Office are struggling to monitor, support, and investigate the departments, directorates, and entities of the city. While we are pleased with the progress made on executive team meetings, including the introduction of the shareholder, strategic, and operational EMT meetings, which speeds things up and improves participation and attendance by senior officials, we are concerned about the lack of consequence management for departmental senior directors and the management and the boards at the city's entities. The Ethical Climate Survey is a welcome addition to the city, and so is the reviewing of a number of service delivery agreements and the city's shareholder policy. But Speaker, since it's the end of the year and we are at the final council sitting for the year, let me take the councillors and the residents through the issues with each function under the CM's office. Group strategy, policy coordination and relations. GSPCR is generally performing quite well, and it is good to know that the CM often seeks their advice and expertise when it comes to the policies and procedures of the city. However, they are undercapacitated with not enough researchers to undertake the reviewing and development of essential new policies, monitoring systems such as the Power BI and the IPMS, strategic frameworks and analyses of best practice to emulate for the city. Group governance. Group governance has excellent support staff, but the board members selected and pushed by MMCs are often not qualified or competent enough to conduct oversight over the city's massive municipal-owned entities. How can inexperienced and underqualified board members be expected to oversee mismanaged entities that are ultimately insolvent? CRUM, also known as Citizen Relations and Urban Management. Speaker, CRUM has promised an online service-facing application that is being developed by GRCT and MTC, and we hope this will be prioritized in the next financial year. Unfortunately, too many CRUM employees and workers are sitting in the pool of displaced employees and must be allocated to departments and entities by the city's employee allocation panel. We need to start respecting and recognizing the workers of the city. When it comes to group communications and marketing, this function has ongoing over expenditure on employees after requesting additional budget from the city. This is happening over and over again. Perhaps the city keeps rejecting their requests as the city gets very little value from communications and marketing. As we know, the city website and social media is poorly designed and disseminated to the residents, and so is the advertising of city processes and information for residents. Speaker, you find the support staff hired by MMCs doing much of the communications from departments and the entities having their own communications representatives. So what does group comms and marketing contribute to on a daily basis, other than supposedly overseeing the communications sent out by MMC's offices, departments, directorates, entities, and the city regional offices? Group comms hosted several events, but many of these are expected or are internal events for city staff. For example, such as the budget speech, that's obvious, and employee engagement sports day, you need to have that. And of course, the June 16th Youth Commemoration Day. There have been no events led and marketed by the city since June of this year. Quite unfortunate. Group legal and contracts. Speaker, the legal and contracts function of the city is overwhelmed, and many staff members must manage and monitor numerous contracts of varying complexity. Due to the closure of the Metro Centre, the team has now been split between Tuso House and the SAPI building, which has had a negative impact on their work and their meetings. In May of this year, JPC promised them that they would move all staff from the GLC to permanent offices, but nothing has happened since then, since May. When it comes to disciplinary cases, only 8 out of 28 cases were finalized. This is mainly due to how cases are managed and lack of capacity in the GFS unit. Group Risk and Assurance Services, GRAS as it's called, has been performing well when it comes to investigating UIFWE and assisting with write-offs. But they are experiencing major issues with non-probity findings and major delays with bids bid specification and evaluation committees. Speaker, this must be prioritized by the CM and city executives as it is taking forever to purchase and procure. A major concern in the city is also the abuse of last-minute deviations to get stuff. In the last financial year, 26 regulatory assessments were conducted by GRAS to find out why SCM Regulation 36 was used. Regulation 36 and 32 are abused quite often in the city, unfortunately. Proper planning, effective management, and sufficient consequence management could prevent this, but this can only come with a new administration, obviously a DA one. Group Forensic Investigation Services. We are pleased to know that GFIS is investigating criminal conduct and corruption, as well as participating in various engagements to support departments and functions of the city. However, the unit remains undercapacitated and the city rejected requests to fund required training, including enrolling investigators as certified forensic examiners and providing digital forensic investigation training. Office of the COO, this is the last one. The COO's office has assisted with private-public partnerships, PPPs, special projects, and empowering special groups in the city, including military veterans and their families. Yet a concern is the establishment of the Youth Directorate. Other than a poorly attended youth summit event, the Directorate has contributed very little to the existing functions and initiatives in the city that actually upskill, develop, and empower young residents of the city across the city. Those responsible for the internships, learnerships, and bursary opportunities are not aware of the work or research conducted by the Youth Directorate, and the Directorate has contributed nothing to the training and development provided to young residents and younger professionals recruited and hired by the city. Speaker, one could infer that some functions exist with little underlying purpose or consequence management, while others struggle to do their work. They struggle to perform due to lack of assertive management, lack of training and development, lack of political will, and delays in decisions, processes, and even procurement. To the residents of the city, this will change under DA-led administration that will usher in a more and productive organizational culture across the city, where we actually listen to, support, recognize, respect, and reward the workers and the senior officials of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. EFF, Councillor Khatib.
Thank you, Speaker. The EFF notes the reports.
Thank you, Councillor. ANC, Councillor Simelan.
Greetings, Speaker. Bingelele umeya utara Murero. Bingelele bonke ama MMC are progressive. As I welcome each person here, Youth League, Johannesburg Councillor Umungwe. We are welcome, Chairperson. Group governance, we're anticipating improvement in the next quarter in the office of the city manager, who come to accelerate e-service delivery. Speaker, as the ANC, we note the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. MMC Masugu.
Thank you, Speaker, and noting the comments, Councillor Ngweteni, on the issue of the spaza shops. I do want to bring your attention to item 147. The executive mayor has actually taken a lead in this. As per your request, we are not waiting until next year. We have brought the standard draft bylaw on township economies. We have brought the standard draft bylaw on township economies, which was gazetted by the Minister of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs. This is our first step as the Government of Local Unity through the Department of Economic Development, led by MMC Munisi, and Development Planning, led by MMC Zina.
obviously to make sure that, including health and social development, to make sure that we keep the process. So by the time then we have to then draft our own, but we will at least have started this particular process. So the government of local unity has already responded. We are not wasting any time in that regard. But I note your other comments, which were positive. And I also note that and appreciate you, Councillor Makuba, because you are mentioning that you note their progress and success. And I would have hoped, Madam Speaker, that Councillor Hooper would have learned when we spoke to Councillor Keletsane through you earlier, that if a department is performing at 88%, commend them and say, we note that you are performing at 88%. We appreciate that. And we accept that there are shortcomings. Like the councillor said, that there needs to be an improvement in terms of the work that is done at service delivery and CRAM. So you can't exist to just be bashing. If that's what you exist to do, then I don't think you're being constructive in the work of council. The work of council cannot always be about being negative. The office of the city manager has improved. They've done better. They by own acknowledgement in the report, there are improvements in terms of the issues of making sure that there are the EMTs that are sitting consistently and their monitoring mechanisms. You've acknowledged that particular part, and the issues of ethics. Yes, on consequence management, we need to make sure that we hold the administration accountable. Officials must understand that they are at the service of the residents and they have a responsibility to make sure that they do the work. We have to also, as MMC, because that is why we're also there. That is why we have engagements with them, to put them to task and terms to make sure that they provide services for our residents. We are not resting. We are making sure that we put pressure on them to improve. In fact, there needs to come a time where all of us are able to say, compared to a particular period, at a particular period where we are doing better. And I do want to say on the issue of the concern on the events, it's factually incorrect to say that there have been no events in the city of Johannesburg since June. I mean, unless you don't follow the executive mayor. If you don't follow the executive mayor, then maybe we should then tomorrow all of us must come and have his the Twitter handles and the Facebook page, because the activities, I mean, we've had the 94.7, we had the Red Bull Motorsports. The executive mayor handed over a summer award, which is a very prestigious event. We had the marathon. We had the marathon that was held in Soweto. We also, over and above, by the way, you can't say a June 16 commemoration is an internal event. That is not an internal event. Commemorating June 16 is an event for communities to remember fallen heroes who died in 1976. And over and above all of that, councillors, take the initiative, follow the Twitter, follow Facebook, and so that you it's your city, like and share the comments. Use your DA caucus page to share the work of the government of the day, because you are councillors in the city of Johannesburg. Don't be so held on and think, because, well, you did nothing. There was nothing to share. There was nothing to share. So there couldn't have been anything to share. But now you can see there's a buzz of activity in the city of Johannesburg. There's a buzz of activities because the government of local unity has got a clear program which includes international programs that are going to put the city of Johannesburg on the map. So please, tomorrow, we're going to bring you all the Twitter handles, and then we're going to put them up in front of us so that you can follow us, like us, and the support in the office of the MMCs, support that is sure that they elevate and increase the work and visibility of the work in the political offices. They are not employed by group comms. That I just needed to clarify on record. And thank you very much. We are also to note the report. Thank you.
Thank you, MMC. Member in charge, Councillor Magwenchu.
Madam Speaker, I want to also thank the councillors for their participation in the recent joint oversight visit to the Lillian Way Street, an oversight that was conducted by the Second 79 committees on finance, transport, MPEG, and oversight committee on governance. With that said, Speaker, I want to request council to approve, to note the reports. Thank you.
Thank you, member in charge. Councillors, the recommendations are on pages 32.21 and 33.10. Are the items agreed to? Thank you, councillors.
Councillors, we are on item 34, which is the performance assessment report for the City of Johannesburg Legislature Department for the 2023-24 financial year, fourth quarter for the period April to June 2024, read with item 35, which is an oversight report of OCOL on the 2023-24 fourth quarter budget and performance assessment report of the legislature of the City of Johannesburg for the period April to June 2024. Also read together with item 36, which is the performance assessment report for the Office of the Ombudsman for the 2023-24 financial year, third quarter for the period April to June 2024. And the above items read together with item 37, which is an oversight report of OCOL on the 2023-24 fourth quarter budget and performance assessment report of the legislature of the City of Johannesburg and the Office of the Ombudsman for the period April to June 2024.
Thank you, Secretary to Council. We'll start with the member in charge, Councillor Ponsape.
Ponsonby, thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Greetings to the Executive Mayor, the Caucus Leader Kenny Kunene, MMCs in the house. I call you the Incredibles. You remain in trouble. So you choose which character you are. Madam Speaker, I feel like Yvonne Chaka Chaka today. Madam Speaker, I feel like Yvonne Chaka Chaka. I'm burning up. We must seriously do something about this heat. Hey, I'll say, we'll end up having high blood in this place. I rise to table the following items for the Oversight Committee on the Legislature quarterly performance reports on the legislator and the Office of the Ombudsman. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't want to take up a lot of time with you. Thank you.
Thank you, member in charge. There are some people downstairs with our aircon. If we don't succeed today, we'll try to bring fans tomorrow because it is very hot in here. I'll move over to Action SA, Councillor Atterbury.
Honorable Madam Speaker, fellow councillors, residents of the City of Johannesburg. Madam Speaker, you will agree that the core function of this council is to do oversight on departments and entities within the city. I feel the need here today to remind this House of this fact because, Madam Speaker, it is a big red flag that zero oversights were conducted in the fourth quarter. Only 8 committee meetings were held against a target of 36. This because your predecessor thought it a good idea to place a moratorium on oversight, the very function of this House. Luckily, we have you now in that seat. And I'm sighing with relief because not only are Section 79s more active again, but I have noticed that you too are focusing on oversights. Although an improvement of 56% against a target of 34% in public participation is noticed, a lot more can be done to improve participation. Let's try holding these meetings on days and times that will allow maximum attendance, not 10 o'clock during the week in Regency. The attacks on councillors during the period is unacceptable. acceptable. There were 5 in this quarter. More needs to be done to protect councillors and educate residents as to the role and function of councillors. Madam Speaker, please allow me to quote the Local Government Structures Act 117 of 1998, subsection 72.3. The object of a ward committee is to enhance participatory democracy in local government. Madam Speaker, it pains me to say, but many of these committees enhance nothing. The city spends around 10,000 rand per ward per month just on stipends for ward committee members. Yet in many wards, committees are dysfunctional. The members do not attend meetings or finish their ward councillors with reports. They do not even attend or promote public participation events. Let me quote from the Act again. A metro or local council may dissolve a ward committee if that committee fails to fulfill its objective. Madam Speaker, I think it's very clear what this council needs to do with that wasteful expenditure. I will reserve my comments on the abysmal performance of some ward councillors when it comes to public meetings, the ever-failing petitions, and the fact that the Office of the Ombudsman ordered new furniture when they are going nowhere. But let me just note and approve these reports on the behalf of Action SA. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. EFF, Councillor Mokoena.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to fellow councillors and the resident of Johannesburg in the gallery. Speaker, as the EFF, we know the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mokoena. ANC, Councillor Mulise.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Speaker. Let me greet our Executive Mayor. Let me also take this opportunity to greet the Chair of Chairs. Let me take this opportunity to greet also the Chief Whip. Especially, let me also take this opportunity to greet all ward councillors. Ward councillors, let me remind you that we belong to a specific and special detachment for a specific role in changing our lives, in changing the lives of the poor working class. Speaker, also on behalf of the African National Congress, we would like to note the reports. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor. Chair of Chair, Councillor Marema.
No, thank you very much, Speaker, Executive Mayor and his cabinet, Chief Whip of Council, distinguished guests, residents of the city of Johannesburg. This committee of OCOL, it's one of the most progressive one that intends to take oversight to the people. I rise to lobby council to note these reports, seeing that we still have more items to go. I do not intend to dwell much on the reports because these are quarter of April to June. So I rise to ask council to note. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair of Chair. Member in charge, Councillor Ponsopi.
Thank you, Speaker. We ask council to note the report. Thank you to the lovely inputs from the councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The recommendations are on pages 34.8 and 35.11 are the items agreed to.
Councillors, we are on item 38, which is the approval of the spatial development framework for 20.
Thank you, Secretary to Council. We'll start with the first action essay. Councillor Neft.
Thank you, Speaker. Evening, Speaker, residents of the city and the fabulous 44, all protocols observed. I rise on item 38. Action is in notes and approves the item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Neft. From DA, Councillor Depe.
Speaker, this is truly the graveyard shift. I can hardly see with the light that's on here. But anyway, dear Madam Speaker and fellow councillors and the public at large, from the perspective of the Democratic Alliance, the revised spatial development framework for 2020-40 for Johannesburg, while ambitious in addressing critical urban development challenges, presents several concerns that warrant cautious consideration and potential opposition in its current form. Firstly, there is significant financial implications associated with implementing the SDF. Yet there is a lack of clear accountability measures to ensure these funds used effectively. The Democratic Alliance is concerned about the potential for substantial financial commitments that could lead to waste without stringent checks and balances in place. Furthermore, the timing of public participation raises questions of effectiveness. The constraints imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic may have limited meaningful community engagement and input, which is vital for a comprehensive planning document, which is vital for such a comprehensive planning document. There's also concern about overlap and redundancies within the framework by rescinding older plans and integrating them into new overarching policy. There is a risk of duplicating efforts rather than streamlining processes. This may lead to inefficiencies and confusion in implementation. The Democratic Alliance also emphasizes the need for more equitable prioritization of resources across all areas. For instance, heavy emphasis on regions like Soweto might inadvertently neglect other deserving areas that also require attention and development. Lastly, the framework's dependence on performance indicators for monitoring its success brings concern about the adequacy in addressing systematic issues of dealing with unforeseen economic pressures. This makes the achievement of its goals uncertain. In light of these concerns, the Democratic Alliance recommends either voting against the proposal or seeking amendments to ensure better outcomes. Suggested amendments include, number one, advocating for enhanced financial accountability with a phased implementation plan to monitor progress and manage funds effectively. Number two, promoting more equitable distribution of resources across different regions to avoid regional disparities. Number 3, encouraging additional public participation to ensure the framework's priorities are reflective of all communities' needs. The Democratic Alliance's stance is rooted in the principles of responsible governance, ensuring that the city's development goals are met sustainably and inclusively. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. EFF, Councillor Museta.
Speaker.
Councillor from Good, Councillor Cook. Before Councillor Museta, let me give him an opportunity.
Thank you, Speaker. Good would like to register. I know that you had some problems with the speakers list, but we did ask to be included on this item and we're not reflected on the current speakers list.
Noted, Councillor. I'll include you. Councillor Mosetla, you can continue.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings to yourself, greetings to our party leaders, Fighter Spetlela Rasurute and Fighter Tabisa Mohapi, MMCs, fellow councillors, and esteemed guests. Today we come together to discuss an important issue that shapes the future of our city, the approval of the Spatial Development Framework 2040. This document is not just a plan or a paper, it represents our vision and commitment to a more equitable, sustainable, and resilient Johannesburg. It will guide our city's growth, addressing past imbalances and positioning us for a prosperous future. The Spatial Development Framework 2040 is crucial because it lays out strategic direction for Johannesburg spatial planning, aiming to stimulate economic growth and reduce the social inequities by decades of apartheid era planning. This framework will ensure that all residents, regardless of their location, have access to the opportunities they need to thrive. Our goal is to create a city that is fair, inclusive, and sustainable for all inhabitants. This framework sets several key objectives. Firstly, it seeks to promote economic growth in marginalized areas, enabling balanced and inclusive development across the city. It focuses on creating mixed-use zones that reduce the need for long commutes, promoting local economic activities, and improving overall quality of life. Secondly, it addresses the social equity by ensuring that all Johannesburg residents have access to jobs, housing, essential services, with particular attention to previously disadvantaged communities. Maybe this is why some people don't agree with it. This emphasizes sustainability, promoting urban planning strategies that are adaptable to climate change while fostering resilient urban infrastructure. The Spatial Development Framework is aligned with key pieces of legislation, which includes the Municipal Systems Act, the SPLUMA, and the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Act, SPLUMA, yes. The 24 update to the SDF is particularly important because it responds to the current and future challenges of Johannesburg. With rapid population growth, climate change, and evolving urban dynamics, the SDF 2040 incorporates climate resilience strategies and focuses on spatial transformation. The SDF is a collective vision for our city. It's about creating Johannesburg that is world-class, but more importantly, it's an African city that is fair, inclusive, and sustainable. In conclusion, Speaker, the Spatial Development Framework is a critical tool for achieving the kind of city we want as Johannesburg, to be a city of opportunities, sustainability, and inclusivity. It aligns with our developmental goals and serves as a legacy for future generations. The EFF approves the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor from Good. Councillor Cook.
Thank you, Speaker. Despite its stated intentions to address historical injustices and create a more equitable Johannesburg, Good opposes the approval of the reviewed spatial development framework. While we recognize the need for a robust framework to tackle the legacy of apartheid spatial planning, the current SDF falls short in several critical areas, raising concerns about its ability to deliver tangible change. The SDF's core objective to create a spatially just, world-class African city is commendable in theory. However, the framework lacks clear, actionable strategies to achieve this. Addressing entrenched issues like spatial inequality, the job housing mismatch, and stifled economic opportunities requires more than aspirational statements on paper. It demands well-defined implementation plans, measurable milestones, and dedicated funding. Without these, this framework risks being yet another bureaucratic exercise with little real-world impact. Johannesburg has seen numerous plans over the years that promise transformative change, but have failed when it comes to implementation. The SDF does little to address this reoccurring issue, and the absence of strong governance and enforcement measures undermines its credibility completely. The SDF identifies challenges such as increasing pressure on the natural environment and inefficient land use, but it fails to present comprehensive solutions. It lacks initiatives to protect green infrastructure or integrate nature-based solutions into urban development. There is no plan to curb urban sprawl or retrofit existing fragmented neighborhoods into more connected, sustainable communities. The absence of actionable steps to promote mixed-use developments leaves residents in low-density areas with limited access to essential services and economic hubs. The framework acknowledges spatial inequalities, but fails to address the socio-economic realities that perpetuate them. Marginalized communities continue to bear the brunt of systemic exclusion, and the SDF doesn't tackle any root causes, such as limited infrastructure investment in townships and informal settlements, or the high cost of commuting from distant residential areas to job centers. The SDF is meant to address historical injustices, but it lacks meaningful public consultation and engagement with the voices of communities who were most affected by spatial inequalities. And they were absent from this process, raising concerns as to whether the framework truly represents their needs and their priorities. The proposed policy creates a fragmented approach to urban development. It does not adequately integrate transport planning, climate resilience, or housing delivery into its spatial strategies, missing a massive opportunity for cohesive and holistic urban transformation. We urge the city to return to the drawing board and develop a detailed implementation plan, prioritize meaningful public engagement, and align the SDF with critical policies. We must establish robust monitoring and enforcement mechanisms. Until these gaps are addressed, Good cannot support this approval.
Thank you, Councillor. ANC Councillor Mbengwa. Councillor Nkonza.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. It looks like you forgot Councillor Harris on this list and
Akekho Councillor Harris on item 38.
oh my God. So yeah, so what do we do?
Councillor Nkonza, uyacela ukuthi simfake ku-speakers list.
Submitted igama izolo, so
One
not sure.
submitted igama.
Yes, we did submit, and I'm not sure why it's in the list. Thank you.
Okay, asimuphe Councillor Harris. 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll speak on behalf of Councillor Harris.
Okay.
Ngeke speaker uhambile, and I put the apology in advance, Madam Speaker. All right. Okay, Madam Speaker, the Executive Mayor, MMC, the City Manager, Chief Whip, Whips of Council, fellow councillors, residents of Johannesburg. The special framework is a legislative requirement of the Municipality Systems Act and the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Act. The Special Development Framework is a citywide spatial policy document that identifies challenges, opportunities, and strategies for the future development of Joburg. It aims to transform the city into one that is spatially just, efficient, resilient, and sustainable. The framework beautifully outlines the complexities of development planning. It gives a theoretical description of all stakeholders in keeping this skeleton alive. In practice, however, this framework is impossible to implement because it does not show the basics of project management that have been considered. It talks about skills development and job creation. There are no KPIs attached to this. 30 years after the fall of apartheid, we are still talking about spatial inequalities. Whilst the ACP respects property rights, there is no plan to deal with the investors who have banked prime parcels of land for speculation purposes. There is no plan to deal with Transnet, ESCOM, provincial and national, and our own JPC to release tracts of lands for development. There is no plan to deal with proactively with the mushrooming informal settlements and the scourge of shack farming. Recognizing backyard real estate is a lazy, retroactive way of dealing with the requirements for densification of the city. Migration into a city is mentioned in passing, but there is no urbanization plan linked to this framework. Admittedly, this is not an operations framework. However, it does not inspire confidence in the city to achieve spatial justice. The ACDP approves this attempt to satisfy the requirements. We say Hamas must release their hostages. And Jesus Christ is Lord. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. ANC Councillor Mbengwa. We are going to take a comfort break, colleagues, at 7 p.m. Yes, our list is very long. MMC, our list is very long. Is Councillor Mbengwa in the house?
No, thank you, Speaker. Councillor
Okay,
Mbengwa.
Councillor, you can come in.
Yes. Greetings, Speaker. Mayor of City of Johannesburg. Councillor Zungu, Chief Whip, capable ANC, MMCs, Chair of Chair. I would like to table this report, Speaker. As ANC, we request Council to approve this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. MMC, Councillor MMC Mgina. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Let me acknowledge the comments from councillors and request that we do approve this particular spatial planning, spatial development framework, as alluded earlier on by Councillor Musehla, that it seeks to shape the future of our city. It will allow all what Councillor Cook has raised in terms of opportunities of development, opportunities of economical opportunities. Let me also indicate that Councillor Cook, public participation was done, and if there are individuals that feels that they are not accommodated by this framework, unfortunately, we are here to serve residents of the city and not individuals, particular interests that we are not sure about. So we want to request this council to allow us to unlock opportunities for the residents of our city, because it's quite important. And that's why this framework is brought to council for approval. And I want to thank
all officials that played an important role in making sure that this particular SDF becomes a reality in the city for our residents. I want to applaud them and say to them, well done, wherever they are, if they're watching through Facebook of the city, I'm saying to them, or other social media platforms, I want to say to them, well done, keep up the good work. We really appreciate. We want to see the future of our city. And the future of our city is in our hands and not in individuals' hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MMC. The recommendation is on page 38.11. Is the item agreed to? Oh, it's both. Is the item agreed to, colleagues? Okay, the yes have it. Councillor Christian?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I rise in terms of Rule 84. Can the abstention of the DA on this item be noted? Thank you.
Noted, Councillor. Councillors, we can take a 15-minute comfort break. We've got foods outside and you can also use the bathroom. We'll be back at 19:15.
tomorrow.